What if I told you that one simple email flow could add 6 figures to your business's revenue in just 30 days? Well, in this video, I'm breaking down the exact welcome series structure and content that took one of our clients' welcome series revenue from $124,000 to $273,000 in just 30 days. I'll show you what we changed, how we structured it, why it all works, and how you can implement all of these strategies for your brand starting right now. Stick around, because if you haven't optimized your welcome flow, you are leaving serious money on the table, and I'm going to prove it to you just now. So as we can see here, a welcome series that generated $273,000 in 30 days. We can see around 440K worth of email revenue for this client in a 30-day period. You can see $273,800 from their welcome series in this time, up around 60%. So we can see here that the conversions have gone up quite a lot. This is from the exact same flow, so we're not comparing their old welcome flow, which I'm going to show you here, which did around 125K in this time. So we can see here we more than doubled the revenue, and I'm going to show you exactly how. So this is a little intro to ourselves here at Kensington Media House. You can find a lot of our best stuff here. You know, this doc is going to be down in the description as always, so you can basically find all of our best stuff there. But let us first go through the before for this client. So before, as we can see, I have 3 of the 4 emails kind of in picture here. You can actually see this was just a 4 email flow that they had in place, which for the kind of brand that this is, we're going to go over just for a couple of reasons why this actually wasn't long enough, why we actually needed more shots on goal in order to make this flow more successful. We can see here, you know, it wasn't a bad flow, it wasn't underperforming necessarily, it wasn't like a massive Achilles heel in the account, but it was just something in kind of the audit process when we were first speaking to this brand that we definitely saw a good bit of opportunity with. So like we said, had an okay welcome series, but one of the big things that you need to realize, and this is something that this brand didn't really realize, or the previous agency I should say didn't realize, is that how you plan out the welcome series, really how you plan out all of your flows in general, but certainly with the welcome series in particular, is your brand archetype. What are the characteristics of your brand that are sort of immutable, that make you different? You know, let's say if I were to compare a collagen protein brand and a furniture brand, should they be managing their email marketing in the exact same way? I would say no, because yes, they're both direct-to-consumer brands, but they're in a way different position. If you're in a higher ticket position, you want to make sure that you're not giving up really much, if any, margin, because you're sort of almost expecting that people are less likely to come back. If someone has a good experience with their collagen protein supplement that your company sells, well, people are likely to come back because it's something that you naturally buy again. But in the case of, let's say, a furniture brand, or in this brand's case with kind of medical devices, people likely aren't going to buy again, right? So we need to basically factor that in. You know, they're not going to buy the hero products, that is. You know, we're probably going to go and be able to cross-sell them other things, you know, smaller kind of items, and upsell them things, you know, within bundles and so on. But is someone going to buy, you know, a second $650 device? I don't really think that that's likely in many cases, if it's all just to solve the same problem. Basically here, if your brand is in the archetype, broadly speaking, of high AOV, low LTV, then you must find a high converting sign-up offer that gives up little to no margin. We currently have a furniture brand client who has entered to win a monthly giveaway to win a certain amount off a sofa, and it's converting at about 7%, and we pick one winner per month. And with the volume they're doing, I mean, they basically give up next to no margin. They're a massive brand, so to have one person get, you know, $1,000, you know, once a month, look, it's an absolute massive win, as opposed to everyone getting 10% off their order, which would equate to them in the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. So you can see here, this offer is really, really important. If you're in that high AOV, low LTV category, you got to make sure that you're not really giving up much margin on the sign up form, because, you know, if people aren't likely to come back, you can almost look at that 10% not as, you know, an investment into them coming back. You can look at it as just shaving, you know, 10% off your net margin. So second thing here as well, with the welcome series, we need to build a longer welcome series with more shots on target. I'm going to show you the exact structure of what will work really for every brand here, but particularly for a brand like this, where you kind of built the welcome series out to be a bit longer than these 4 emails. So basically here, doing 15% off and 3 emails here is not going to cut it, right? You're also going to kill your profitability doing this. Here, we had 4 emails, and they weren't following the 3 cardinal rules of the welcome series, which we're about to get into here in just a moment. It just kind of looked like the same message a couple of times in a row, not to be harsh, but, you know, we weren't really giving people enough education. We weren't giving them enough reason to kind of come and buy from us. We weren't kind of winning them over to the brand, essentially. And this led to a lot of missed revenue, a lot of missed opportunity. So the old welcome flow here, guts of $125,000 the month before we switched to ours. Once again, not bad. Just before we began there, just under the kind of 8-figure revenue mark. So this is not bad at all. This is like absolutely not bad. I don't want to say it's bad, but it just goes to show that still you can look at your welcome series and don't just look at the revenue, you know, inside of it. Use this framework that I'm about to show you. Even if the revenue is strong, and be like, oh wow, there's actually still a lot of opportunity inside here, which is very, very exciting. So afterwards, revenue went from 124,900 to 273,800. The open rate on email 1 went from 58.1% to 71.7%. This was some other things we kind of just did on their campaign side to kind of bolster deliverability. This wasn't necessarily the nature of changing the content of the welcome series, but it did go up a little bit, and kind of we were very, very happy with this to see this pull up. End of flow conversions, the final 2 emails at about 35k, which is huge. You'll actually see a massive drop off in engagement within the welcome series, generally speaking, even after the first 2 emails. So we're going to show you a couple of strategies there just to get people back and kind of get more people over the line. Conversion rate was a 93% increase. The traffic slightly increased, so that's why, you know, this 124,935 to 273,000. It's not exactly a perfect 2x, but traffic did increase, you know, the month after, so that's important to say. Then the after, as we can see, so $273,804 in revenue. The email one open rate actually climbed here as well. This wasn't necessarily anything that we did just on the welcome series content. This is kind of a bit more of the sort of deliverability work we actually did on their campaign side. But we saw this pull up, you know, all the way to 71.7%. You can see here the click-through rate here more than doubled as well. We're going to show you a little bit more on the design of kind of how we got this to happen, you know, with the click-through rates, which is really, really important because the structure of the emails design-wise was also just a little bit off. And this kind of goes into rule 1 of the cardinal rules of the welcome series, which I will get to once again in just a second. We saw here as well, the end of flow conversions went up to 35k from the final 2 emails, which is really, really good. You'll actually see a big drop off in engagement really from emails 2 onwards, generally speaking, with a welcome series. So for us to see this, you know, and getting 35k coming from the final 2 emails was a huge, huge win. You know, it shows we're kind of scooping up, you know, the last few conversions we can get, and that, you know, we're increasing efficiency from the flow a lot, which is so paramount. Finally, the conversion rate, not 2x, you know, even so with the revenue going from roughly 125k to roughly 273. Traffic went up, you know, a little bit. So, you know, it's a 93% increase. Wasn't a perfect 2x, but still, you know, we'll take that. And the client was very happy, as we'll show you, you know, at the end of this video in just a second. So yeah, we can see here some really, really nice movement here from that flow. Yeah, very, very happy with this. So first of all, what actually makes a good welcome series? This is something that I think people don't necessarily think about when they go in to make their welcome series. You know, you need to go in with a concerted game plan. Like, it's the most important flow in your account. So in terms of the structure, what makes a good structured welcome series? What makes, you know, good content in a welcome series? Really, really important questions to ask. So in terms of structure, you need to do 3 things. These are our 3 cardinal rules. You need to maximize revenue from email 1 and really in the beginning of the flow. So we actually do this really in the first day or 2 of the flow. We need to be maximizing revenue here. This means short directed messages with strong design, just giving them their offer and going, and using a lot of social proof, building the brand in the customer's mind in the middle of the flow. And then towards the end of the flow, getting maximum efficiency out of the flow, recouping as much revenue as possible at the end of the flow as we possibly can. We were doing point 1 quite well, not doing enough of point 2 in the previous flow, and then there really wasn't point 3. You know, we didn't really have a strategy for the end of the flow for people who were maybe 5, 6, 7 days into the flow to try and get them to get over the line. In terms of content, many more things than you probably think can go into a welcome series, way more things than you actually think, you know, provided they do one of these 3 things, or ideally a couple of these 3 things in a single email. Should be building status, building trust, and then building belief. So if you do any one of those 3 things within your emails, it will work in a welcome series. I mean, I've even seen brands do warehouse tours in their welcome series. You might be like, what the hell? That doesn't really sound like it fits in a welcome series. But when you think of it through status, trust, and belief, it makes a lot of sense to put a warehouse tour into a welcome series because it hits on all of those 3 things. Continuing on the process. Status, what does that actually look like, right? We're going to go through here for the actual structure of the welcome series shortly. I'm going to show you exactly how these 3 work in practice. But just for these, in terms of the content, status, what is status? Status is positioning yourself. Look, we're made in LA. Look who's featured us. We're female owned, you know, for this demographic, for this client. It's very, very important. This kind of tongue-in-cheek copy, also super important for them. Trust, reputability. So you can see here using Trustpilot, you know, we represent here, shown behind the brand on their YouTube channel. Really, really good stuff to do. Anything that we can do here, you know, is going to work really, really well. Belief. How do we show belief? We show belief through demonstration. We compare ourselves to other brands. We show what we don't do that they do, or what we do that they don't do, whichever. And here we can show transformation. So we show what happens when people use our products. This builds belief. When we show lots of case studies, you'll see, you know, a lot of skincare brands in particular doing this. You know, it builds a lot of belief. Going back to our structure here, we want to do these 3 things. We want to maximize revenue from email 1, build the brand in the customer's mind, and recoup as much revenue from the least engaged people towards the end of the flow. Let's have a look at our structure here. Here's what we did. We did a quick welcome to the brand. We pushed our quiz and the code reminder. We asked people if they forgot their code. Number 4, brand story and pain point. We went through solving people's main pain point with these medical devices. We then went back and said, hey, your code is expiring fairly soon. And we went through a deeper brand story and why we started. Finally, we did code expires tomorrow and code expires today on the very last day. So you can see here, double the length of the previous welcome series. So let's look at the conversion structure. So quick welcome to the brand maximizes initial revenue. Forgive the typo here. Take our quiz and code reminder, builds brand and converts. Did you forget your code? Maximizes initial revenue. Once again, forgive the typo here. Then we go through the brand story and kind of like why we're solving this pain point. More so is kind of the brand story. So, you know, the founders actually are the customer demographic. That's the kind of big part of the story of the brand, is that they actually began the brand out of a need that they sort of had themselves. So brand story / pain point solving story, build brand plus convert. Your code's expiring fairly soon, an undefined time. We're not saying it expires tomorrow or 48 hours or whatever. We're just saying it expires soon. So now we're starting to push into conversion and getting towards the end of the flow and letting people know there's some urgency to this. And urgency is really how we're going to get people to convert towards the end of the flow. Here we go for a deeper brand story and why we began. So it kind of goes through the founder story a little bit more, builds brand plus converts. This one does really, really well. The click-through rate on this is absolutely stellar. I think it's like 8% plus, which roughly a week into a welcome series is pretty good. I mean, sometimes you'll see that on email 1 for some brands, or sometimes less. So to do this a week in is really, really good stuff. And I think people really connect with the story here. Code expires tomorrow, urgency, maximizing conversions, and then code expires today. And you can see here, just from the structure, this is going to work because we follow our 3 cardinal rules of the welcome series. You don't even need to be the best marketer in the world because your structure is so strong. What you're actually operating inside of is doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you, and you know it's going to work. The content structure, the quick welcome to the brand. We have a lot of social proof in there, so forgive the typo once more. Take our quiz plus code reminder, belief plus trust. Did you forget your code? Once again, we put in a lot of social proof here. Brand story, or kind of why we're solving this pain point of all things. Trust plus belief is touched on there. And finally here, status, trust, and belief is here. So you can see here, when we're mixing in the right content in the right structure, it's going to work really, really, really well. It's important to note too that we had reviews in virtually every email. So we're just kind of passively adding status. We're kind of showing how we've been, kind of publications we've been featured in, showing our good reviews from customers. Just going to really, really help us all the way across the board here. That's how in every email you can sort of passively add that status, trust, and belief. So I'm going to show you the exact emails in the welcome series here in just a second for this brand. I'm going to keep some confidentiality within there. But before I do that, I'm just going to show you some example emails of how you can structure this, with the structure that I've actually given you here. So the first email, we just want this to be really short and directly to the point. We can see this from New Balance here. Just a couple lines of copy, CTA nice and high, and just letting people know about their 10%. For your welcome email, just make it really short and to the point. People sign up for an offer, just give them the offer, pull in your social proof, pull in reviews and things like that. But aside from that, just go and give them the offer and get out of there, right? We can do the brand building in the middle of the flow. We don't want to do it in the beginning. If we chase 2 rabbits, we will catch neither, right? So here from New Balance, side note, New Balance have had a massive glow up as a brand in like the last 5 years or so. Big ups to New Balance, big fan. But here this email is really, really strong. So just make sure it's nice and simple, easy to click. CTA above the fold, couple lines of copy. Don't need to do much more than that. Show some reviews, some social proof, easy and very much done. Second, brand backstory and values. So you can give a little bit more about the brand, this sort of a thing. This is just kind of going through like an example structure that would work really for any brand. Once again, this doc is down in the description, so you can grab these emails there. It's from Hawthorne, really, really cool brand as well. I would maybe make this email just more clickable. I just want to have like a CTA above the fold, but it's a nice email still. And I think here with kind of what they sell, given that it is like personalized, they do need to give people quite a bit of education before they'll actually buy. So here, these emails are paramount for a brand like Hawthorne. You can see here as well, pulling in like Forbes, GQ, Vanity Fair, places they've been featured. Passively adding that social proof is really, really strong. Benefits, reviews, and community. You can see this here from Athletic Greens. Well, I guess AG1 now, they fully rebranded. Benefits you can actually feel. And you can kind of see here, like, pulling in the kind of graphic to show, not tell, kind of the benefits that are in there. So you can just see exactly what is in the product. And once again, really, really clickable, really nice structure here where you can just kind of fall down the email. Nice use of typography here. You can see a serif font, then a sans serif. So you can kind of just easily like zoom about the email and see where there's difference. And yeah, really, really strong final call to action there too, is really, really good. Another thing you can kind of pull in here, which we did for this brand, was a letter from the founder, which is generally a really, really good type of email to do, right? So you can see here, this is really well designed, really strong email, and kind of just helps people relate to you, especially if you are okay with putting yourself into the welcome series and you're okay with letting people know that you actually are the customer demographic. That is absolutely huge, right? So this can be an email that works really, really well in your welcome series too. And yeah, it's something I'm quite a big fan of personally. Finally, increasing the offers slightly. So you could look at doing something where you just slightly increase the offer like this. And you can see here, let me zoom in a little bit more for you. You can see here for people spending above $2,000, they go up from a $50 offer to $100 offer. So they go from whatever that is, 2.5%, I believe, up to 5% off their order. And then we can see here, I'm going to zoom back out because I think I zoomed in the whole page. we can see here 24 hours left, just slightly increasing the urgency a little bit more. And you can see here, this is a welcome flow that's going to convert really, really, really nicely. So I'm going to go through and show you the exact emails for this client in Figma here in just a moment. So you can kind of see how we structure them to drive clicks. Obviously you saw the doubling in click rate on email 1, and then also, presenting content quite clearly to the reader at the same time. So let us go over to Figma. So we can see here with a couple of these emails, you can kind of see from the structure how there's basically always a call to action above the fold. We make sure that the hero section is really clean and sort of pops. And then we make sure that there's still enough space in the email, enough white space so that you can kind of fall down the email a little bit more. They use 2 quite different fonts as well, which is kind of hard to see with how we have the screen blurred here, but essentially having different typographies, like I've said, of having a serif font and a sans serif font enables people's eyes to quickly sort of define contrast within the email. They can clearly see differences in different parts of the email. They can say, this is one section, this is clearly another, because they look so different. And for that reason, they don't have to read the email, they can scan it. So we want to be using contrast and white space so that the email can breathe. And then also that's through the white space, and then through the contrast, you're basically able to kind of go through sections of the email quite quickly rather than having to read every little bit, right? We can see how the design works, really clean hero image with a good call to action above the fold, and then clear white space and good benefit section. The old email was a little bit long. I had a call to action further down the email. For that reason, it kind of made the click-through rate quite a bit lower than it could have been for email 1. And yeah, pretty simple here really in terms of design. We have a full design guide on the channel here as well, which you can find if you subscribe, or even if you just click onto the channel and take a look at that. We'll show you exactly how you can design perfect emails for your brand using Figma. But yeah, the brand was truly delighted with these designs as well, which is always great to have a happy client in that respect. On that topic, the end result was very much a happy client, as you can kind of see here from the Fireflies transcript from a call that we had together with one of their team members. So yeah, even reading this is quite nice. So yeah, this is just our little note taker assistant for our kind of client calls and stuff like that. And yeah, when you have a happy client, someone that you're going to work together, you're going to work with for years, I think yeah, kind of makes the best part of what we do here in the e-commerce world, I would say, and certainly in the agency space. So if you really enjoyed this guide, this case study, and kind of how we made a welcome series doing about $273,000 in revenue in just 30 days, you can join our free newsletter. You can get 3x weekly guides there, fantastic guides that will really elucidate your journey on email marketing really, really nicely. You can subscribe to the channel too if you want to get the video versions. Then yeah, this doc's in the description. You can find our contact info there if you need more help. And finally, if you want help scaling your brand and you're doing over 100K a month, and you want help with your lifecycle marketing efforts, you can book a call at the link in the description here as well. So now that you've seen how we took an underperforming welcome series and turned it into a revenue powerhouse for this brand, you can see that there's probably so much more opportunity within your email account than you probably realize. For that reason, you can check out this video here, which is a full course on all things e-commerce email marketing, to find out where those opportunities are for your brand. I'll see you in the next video.